Hi guys, we're back for another video. It's our week 2, I think, of our Bible in 90 days.
Woo!
We are 1 week ahead of everyone else, but this week you guys should be reading from Leviticus into Deuteronomy 23:11, I think, is where next week's video will pick up.
What a party.
And so we wanted to talk a little bit about what we just read in Deuteronomy 5. When it starts talking about the 10 commandments, the first commandment, I think, is you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. And then again it mentions a couple passages further, do not follow other gods, the gods of the people around you, for the Lord your God is among you, is a jealous God, and his anger will burn against you, and he will destroy you from the face of the land. So if we wanted something light and airy to pick up on this video, that's where we're starting with. And so my question was, God is perfect. How is jealousy part of his perfection?
Yeah. Boy, so here's the thing. Lauren sometimes tells me what we're going to talk about, but not a whole lot. And I think we've opened a bigger can of worms today than maybe we were banking on. But here's maybe a short intro into this. I don't think there's any way that we can cover it today in full, but there's a few things going on. And I think the first question is, what is a standard for perfection? And I think it's a difficult question because we're going to have these ideas that, well, we think this is perfect and God doesn't match our version of that. And so I think it's just good for us to recognize that when we ask questions like this, what we're really saying is our ideas, and you're not doing this consciously, right? But our ideas and our ideas of what is perfect is a little bit bigger than God's ideas. But maybe just to answer the question a little bit of how do we get to say that God is a jealous God?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know there's lots of people that disagree with you on what the first commandment is there?
What would the first one be?
Yeah, see, it's a strange thing depending on who you are, but certainly in a Jewish context, the first commandment is not going to be, where is it in Deuteronomy 5 here? You shall have no other gods. But the first commandment is actually in 5:6. I am the Lord your God who brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. And I think that's a really important distinction to make, is that the first commandment describes the relationship.
Is I am the Lord your God.
I am the Lord your God. And it's not really a two-way relationship either, especially here at the beginning. It's I'm God who rescued you, who brought you out, who's done all of these things for you. And so when we talk about this jealousy aspect, we have to look at it in terms of God's relationship with us. And I think so often in Scripture, he uses the metaphor of a marriage in terms of a relationship. And so just to paint the awkward picture, and God forbid, but if my wife were to cheat on me, what would jealousy look like in that context? And I think a lot of times when we talk about jealousy, if we're talking about it in that context, the jealousy more becomes that you're jealous of someone else. I don't know, this is weird, but jealous of the affections that she showed to someone else, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not the way that jealousy is used here. Instead, you get the idea of jealousy is that God is jealous for us, that he's in a relationship with us, and he wants everything. I think there's another verse that even, and I think we read this last week, but I think it's in Exodus 34. Again, I should have looked these up ahead of time. Oh, Exodus 34:14. Don't worship any other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. So there's even a little bit of a stronger connotation here. And the way the Hebrew's written, it could say one of two things: whose name is jealous, or who is jealous for his name. And the idea is when God rescues us and enters into a relationship with us, he then says, I'm jealous of keeping this relationship how it should be, of making sure that, man, I bought you, right? You ran away and I paid the price. And especially here in the New Testament world that we live in, that God literally bought us with the death of his son. And then he says, I want the best for you. And I know that only I can provide that. And so I'm jealous to keep you close and make sure that everything I have and I have access to, that you can have that because you're living in this relationship the way that you should. And so I think looking at it in terms of that kind of relationship might change it a little bit. What do you think?
That's interesting. I've never thought about it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Like he's jealous for us because he wants the best for us.
Yeah.
And it won't be that if we're not putting him first or above everything else.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more to it, but that might be a good intro to it. And if you got more questions, you can certainly ask us more about this.
So to wrap it up, God is perfect and we don't know what's going on. As per always.
Maybe not the exact wrap up we were going for, but it'll work, right?
Well, tune in next week for our next week series on our Bible in 90 days, and come see us on a Sunday or on Wednesday. We have Soup Supper going on right now at 6 p.m. until Easter. So we'll see you then.